Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Track Talk. Today we are joined by Kev. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good, my dude. So
My dude.
let's get straight into it with Into Sandy City. Tell me about the track.
Um, so this was kind of my first dip into the serious track making scene. I actually had tracks previous to this, but they weren't they were very like childish and oh look, I'm making a track. Yeah. And then I kind of started thinking about looking around how other people are making tracks, and I realized I could do better than that.
Okay.
I can. So I kind of sat down and I started taking the track making seriously with Sandy City, and I was, and I'm like, well, I want to also show how much I love video games too. So I picked the music and just started making it to it, and it flowed into Sandy City, and that's how that track came out.
Okay, so is this quite an early example of syncing then? Like, because this was what, 2013?
Very very early. Uh, Obviously Blue Champion had existed before this, but syncing wasn't something that was very, very common at the time. And that was something that I kind of noticed right off the bat. Like no one's putting any deliberacy into these songs. And from the very when I realized that was the song I was going to pick from the very beginning when I started working on this track, the ending where it's all the calm and he's riding backwards, I was actually very conscious. I knew exactly that was how it needed to end. The rest of it, I didn't care what it was. I was just going, "Oh, this is cool," and then I spent maybe like a good 3 weeks trying to get him to slow down just enough so when he went over that hill, it hit right as the track died down.
Okay, so I'm guessing this is well before we had sync tools then.
Well before sync tools, this is where you had to pick a song that started off kind of slow, wait for the sync point, and press play exactly where it needed,
Ugh.
and you had to watch your track with it.
Yeah, that sounds kind of terrible. So, did this track have a particular theme other than just the song, or?
Just the song in sync. Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really focus too hard on the theme of the track, but more how does it work with the music.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
also kind of a reflection of my current skill at the time, because there's a part of the near the end of the track where I attempt some quirk, but I couldn't. All I managed to get in was a G roll, and I'm like, oh fuck this! But the G roll's too cool.
Yeah. So, did you have any kind of rules when it came to the syncing, or is it just like he did something at
Um,
a beat?
I don't know how to express how I feel about syncing. It's definitely I shouldn't have to list out, oh, this is a sync point and this is a sync point. The viewer
Yeah,
should be able to go, whoa, that worked with the music.
sure, yeah.
The track should also feel the same as what I hope the viewer is also feeling with the music. So if the song is really yeah, the track's got to be yeah, and if the song is just gently tiptoe through the meadows, the track's got to be tiptoe through the meadows. And
So,
I'm sure, pretty sure that's something everyone has, but I don't think a lot of people were putting that thought into it.
yeah, you were saying you're kind of more just going with the general vibe of the song at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So it's like less. Well, I guess back then it's probably not really possible to be super precise with syncing anyway. But
No, that was generally difficult. So a lot of major syncs at the time had to have a very blatant key tone in it
hmm,
that you would notice. I think Jam is a very good example where Raphael has the trumpet, he has the writer slam into something with the trumpet blast. That was the kind of syncing at the time. It had to be very obvious and very in your face.
yeah, because I guess it's yeah, as you say, much more tricky. Um, do you have anything you'd want to change about the track, or is it just more of a method?
Mm, I would probably improve the deliberately bumpy flat sled in parts of it. because when I made that curve, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a piece of shit curve." But then as I listened to the song, I kind of realized it really worked well with it. But then I was kind of like, "It's staying in, it's staying in, it's perfect that way."
So you were saying you wanted to change the jagged edge of the curve slightly. You said it fit at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So somewhat 3/4 on the track, there's a in the song, and at first I was just kind of being lazy with the curve, right? And then when I played with the song, I kind of realized, well, no, it's a piece of crap, but it works. It makes it look really good. But what I would have changed is I probably would have redone that curve and put a little bit more deliberacy in it. Because it's definitely very inconsistent with how rough it is. It's definitely a
Yeah,
lazy curve instead of a deliberate curve.
yeah, for sure. So do you have anything else you'd like to say about that track before we move on to Sleepyhead? Okay, so Sleepyhead is, I think you said, a track that you made in a very short amount of time, but everything in it just
It,
kind of fit together, right?
yeah, it took me less than an hour to make.
Oh, really?
Um, so the song had actually been sitting in my head for a while, right? I was just obsessed with listening to this song. And at the same time, there was me contemplating, like, is it possible to make a really super slow line rider track? And the two weren't connecting. And I was in a class one day where the two just kind of finally like and like I need to get my computer. And what was the first thing I did? Is I turned on my laptop, I booted up Line Rider, and I just started going and doing the same thing. The wait for the song to start, press play, watch it go, and I was like, yeah, this works. This works. And then 30 minutes in, I'm like messaging people, yo, I just got the most mind blowing track ever. You guys are gonna love this. And then it finally, like for an hour, I'm already recording it, attaching the music, and uploading it. And I'm like, Sleepyhead.
Nice. So this is a track you're definitely pretty happy with then.
Yes, it is my favorite track I've put out of all time.
So again, this is just like a marriage between the song and the track, like just a syncing.
Yeah, another. The syncing wasn't actually intentional in this.
Mm,
The lag that the because I didn't record it properly, right? And because of this, it ended up fitting with the song even better. And I will remaster all my other tracks except for Sleepyhead because of this accident. Because you can't replicate this because the lag is inconsistent through the whole track and the recording. So that track's never gonna get like remastered because of this.
fair enough. And yeah, like watching that track, it's very much like the song. Like, atmospherically, it's very kind of
Mm-hmm.
undulating, but in like a kind of relaxing way. Like things kind of roll back over each other, kind of recycle. So it really fits the song pretty well. And yeah, I think that works pretty good. So were you like intentionally trying to match the kind of theme of the music there?
Yeah, it was definitely the theme of it has to stay slow was definitely there because no one was making slow tracks. Everyone was trying to like make tracks not significantly faster, but definitely much faster. You
Yeah.
know, and so I'm kind of sitting there, and I was asking around, like, what do you think a slow track would be possible? And people are like, nah, 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 that's not gonna happen. You can't make a slow track entertaining.
This was in the age of the Line Rider arms race, I guess.
Oh yeah, back when it was either scenery or style versus quirk,
Yeah.
style versus power more actually. Definitely during that time, and like I think for like a brief moment, everyone kind of just sat down and was like, "This is okay."
It's like, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
So, do you have anything else you'd like to say about the track? Is there anything you'd change, or you?
I'd probably make it longer.
Okay.
I probably would make it longer, but it's perfect the way it is. A different perfect version would be the longer version of it.
Do you have any plans to bring out a similar kind of track in the future?
No,
You're just totally happy with.
unless I find a song that would fit with that style. We'll just repeat that line. Unless I found a song that would definitely fit that style, there isn't going to be another Sleepyhead style track.
Okay, fair enough.
If someone
So
else does it, then good on them, but not from me.
yeah, yeah, I'm trying to think if there are any. There's probably some that are escaping my memory, but in any case, let's move on to Sylveon. That was your next track, I think.
Yeah, Sleepyhead actually happened in between while I was working on Sleepyhead. Sylveon, I started immediately working on after Sandy City. Like, yep, I'm uploading it. Let's work on the next one because I want to make a flat sled track, and flat sled is cool. And so I started just making this like super dense flat sled. And then the section after the flat sled took me probably about a few years to get over the writer's block to figure out how I wanted to execute it afterwards. And once I got after that writer's block, it kind of just flowed out of me.
Yeah, it's I was surprised how long it is as well, considering all the techniques you use.
Yeah, that was because there was no stopping point in that song up until the actual stopping point in the song, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
can't leave it on such a like awkward
yeah,
note. People are gonna hate me for that, which is something a lot of people did. Like, if you're gonna pick a song, fucking commit to it.
yeah. That's something I never do. I always just find the bit where it's like, like double edited or whatever, and just cut it out until it's like only a minute long.
So it's so long because it needs to end here, not in this weird spot where it just starts picking up or it changes tempo. It needs to end at the ending.
Yeah, fair enough. So this track was kind of a little bit like Into Sandy City in a way, but kind of like more of like it's like you expanded more upon the ideas. Like the syncs were more varied. Like you had a really quite an extensive like flat sled synced kind of
Yeah.
beginning.
The so funny thing that track actually had 3 different songs prior to that. That song is actually synced to that initial flathead part. It's actually synced to a metal remix of the Kingdom Hearts theme.
And he just changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that people could do that back in the day. But yeah, I guess syncing was kind of
Um,
different.
and I mean, I guess you could say it's an expansion in Sandy City, but really it's just me. Like, I hear the song and I think, oh, this style would fit there, and that's kind of what I try to pull off. And I never attempted quirk. Well, I mean, Sandy City had quirk, but I never attempted serious quirk before. And I knew when I heard the song they use, I'm like, that's got to have quirk right there. That's got to have quirk. So, and I knew that people knew I wasn't into quirk. People knew I can't do quirk, but I didn't want to be known as the guy that did flat set. I want to be known as the guy that can, whenever I posted a track, you don't know what I'm putting out there, right? So I had to consciously keep that quirk section out of camera field up until the sync part, so people like paying attention are like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. What? And I think I pulled that off pretty well in that track.
Nice, yeah, yeah. Like that's definitely important. I think if you want to, like grab attention from like the communities, just to not get stale. But not that you have to like change your track style every time, but keeps things varied. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't. Sylveon was like my statement saying, I'm not here to be typecasted. I'm here to make tracks. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, is there anything you would change about Sylveon, or do you think
The
it's
stall.
the
I hate
stall
the
at the
stall.
end?
Yeah,
I'm
I hate
trying.
the stall.
I'm trying to
I
recall.
mean, it's a good stall, but
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
it's the one where it comes backwards like that,
he
doesn't it? Yeah.
no, he goes in, he pops up, and he catches him on the second peg.
Uh, maybe I'm
Or
thinking of the other track. Okay. So, the last track on your list, Weird Science, I kind of see that as almost like a predecessor to the kind of tracks we see being made today. I mean, it's quite actually similar to Car Radio by Gavin Root.
yeah, I don't think singularities were used in a serious track up until then. Um, because when I heard the song again, because I tried to reflect it, I knew that it had to be a build up track. It was going to start like weird flat sled, building up into somewhat serious quirk, and then weird quirk building into seriously weird quirk. And I knew at the time I didn't know how to do any of that sort of quirk. And I didn't look up tutorials. I didn't look up tracks. I was just like, I know the speed I need. I need to figure out how to pull this off. And so that's kind of what the latter section of the track is me going, sitting down, okay, let's fucking figure this out. I have to pick up the speed here, and I know that sort of quirk exists. How the fuck do I do it? And so I realized the singularity kind of existed. So I actually ended up talking to Sheldon and asking him how he did it. And so as I'm learning how to do singularity, I kind of realize I figure out how to make the quirk look intense as well, because it's I call it myself a dirty fling, because the flings are not meant to be clean. They're not meant to be smooth. They're meant to be strong, powerful. We're trying to fucking really rip his legs off as best as we can without actually dislocating him. And because I knew that was the style of the quirk, it had to be for that section of the song.
Yeah, definitely shows. And I did actually notice those flings. As you say, they're all about power, I guess, in that case.
Yeah, because usually when people, like other people, they try to do power, they don't actually focus on the execution of the fling. They just focus on making sure it happens. That was something I was constantly making sure. If it looked weird in the wrong way, no, that's not a fling. It's got to be there. There's got to be a consistent pattern. It's got to feel right, despite the fact that it's deliberately grungy and inconsistent. Consistency to the inconsistency.
Fair
which
enough.
is something I see a lot of quirk makers don't do. They just kind of throw in a fling there and, it's a fling, ta-da!
Yeah, fair enough. So, do you have anything else you'd like to say about Weird Science?
I probably would have made it a little bit longer than what it is right now. But at the point, I was like, I'm fucking done. I am fucking done with this track. I needed to get out. It's done. Stalled.
Fair enough. So, do you have any tracks you're working on at the moment? Because you don't have that many 4 releases, I would say.
No, I don't know what I consider my personal works in progress, because there'll be times where I'll start a track and then I never finish it, and that's it. It's done. It's never gonna see the light of the day ever again. And sometimes I'll load it back up to go, I was working on this, and then I never add really anything to it. There's one super high dense quirk track that I'm very, very slowly working on. That's being the exception of this rule, but it hasn't been touched in a while. Where I'm syncing quirk to Mick Gordon's BFG division, which is an amazing metal song. And the reason why I want to do this is because no one has really made quirk that level of intensity with deliberancy. If you look at Ham, it's kind of like, we're going to do this here, we're going to do this here, and it's still an impressive track, but there's no coherency to it. It's just, I'm going to switch to this trick here, I'm going to switch to this trick here. I want to take Ham style and make it into a coherent track.
So you want to kind of mold the chaos into something, because Ham is basically chaos for the theme of having chaos.
Yeah, I want controlled chaos.
Okay.
The other tracks I kind of go on about that I want to make, we don't have tools to make them possible right now, and so that's kind of why I'm working on my own sort of builds, because I need a build where these tools don't exist yet, and I'm kind of gradually working it up. So when I actually have what I need, I can make the track I need and publish it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think open line writer, that's probably something we'll get into in the next episode, where we go into behind the lines. So I think that'll probably conclude this episode of Track Talk. Thanks for joining us, Kev, and we will see you, audience, in the next video.